If I'm going to a place where I know that I'm going to be getting a lot of sun, I bring my astaxanthin with me because astaxanthin can help protect your skin. While I was chewing one pretzel, I was already thinking about the joy that I was going to derive from the next one that I was going to put in my mouth. I wasn't even conscious of the pretzel that was currently in my mouth.
Present.
I wasn't present, yeah. Only about 30% of punches that you throw land. So you're actually in a real fight. You're shadow boxing anyway. This is going to be a unique episode of the podcast, a solo episode, the first ever solo episode, where Sydney, who I'm excited to introduce you guys to, who is my executive assistant, runs all things behind the scenes, The Genius Life, is going to ask questions that she pulled from my audience on Instagram. So we have pages upon pages of questions, and she's going to throw them out at me, and she's also going to throw in her own 2 cents here and there.
Here and there.
Here and there, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Could not eating enough calories keep you from putting on muscle? I feel like that calorie deficit conversation comes up all the time.
It does, especially in social media.
Yeah.
You do need to be consuming adequate calories to put on muscle, because if you think about it, muscle growth is an anabolic process, right? Like you're building new tissue. You're basically asking your body to create new tissue, and that's an energetically very expensive task to undertake. And so, yes, you need to be eating enough. At least your maintenance level of calories, if not more. It depends really on what you're prioritizing. If you're prioritizing weight gain and muscle growth, then yeah, typically you would want to be in a caloric surplus. Prioritizing protein, of course, and then you can sort of fill in the gaps around that. Generally, if you're doing high intensity exercise, you're going to want carbs.
So for someone that wants to gain muscle, what would you say to put on their plate?
Well, I mean, there's a certain amount of fats that you need, right? Essential fatty acids. When it comes to carbohydrates are really, one of the most important performance enhancing tool there is, from the standpoint of your diet. So I would say half a plate of protein, chicken, beef, whatever floats your boat. And then optimizing for, slow burning carbohydrates, and healthy fats. It really, it depends on what your personal tastes are, of course. But yeah, I wouldn't go too overboard with the added fat. I think that was the point that I was trying to make.
I hear that.
Yeah, especially when you're in a calorie surplus, you want to really be supporting muscle anabolism, and there is a role for protein in that regard, and there is also a role of carbohydrate in that regard. And then your fats should come from healthy sources to optimize hormones and things like that, which are also important and play a role in muscle anabolism. But yeah, I mean, whereas I normally would, eat something like, a steak and fibrous vegetables, for somebody really trying to optimize and to gain weight, I would say, okay, maybe you can half of the portion reserved to non-protein foods could be fibrous veggies, and then the other half of that, so a quarter of your plate, would be then more starchy sources of carbohydrates like sweet potatoes, white or brown rice, whatever your preference is, etc.
Someone asked what your favorite high protein snack is, aside from our beloved Paleo Valley meat sticks.
We love Paleo Valley. Shout out to Paleo Valley. My favorite high protein snacks, I love a good protein shake every now and then, which I don't really consider a supplement. I mean, whey protein shake, curious to know your thoughts, Sydney, but it's a whole food snack to me. I mean, whey protein in particular is typically a byproduct of the cheese making process. And it's a really high, the biological value of whey protein is like through the roof. So there's that. There's Greek yogurt, which I happen to love. I tend to buy fat-free Fage.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Why do you buy fat-free?
Well, because I just think it's amazing that with a cup of fat-free Greek yogurt, you're getting 18 grams of protein in a, 70 calorie container. So if you have the option to remove the dairy fat, depending on what your goals are. So if you're not trying to gain weight, then to me, it's a great fat loss food for one.
Okay.
But in general, like I don't think that the same way that most people there's no we don't live in a state of energy deprivation, most of us. Most people are consuming way more carbohydrates than they're even cognizant of, and I would say the
Right.
same today typically goes for fat as well. And so for me, I'm looking to skim off extraneous calories wherever I can and focus on nutrient density. And I just, I think that uh, fat-free Greek yogurt is a lot more nutrient dense of a food um, than full fat yogurt. And you might choose the full fat if you're depending on goals, but to skim off the dairy fat to me is not really it's I think if anything magnifying or concentrating the nutrient density
Yeah.
of the food.
I tend to reach for like the full fat Greek yogurt. I
Yeah,
don't eat a lot of dairy, but I just feel like when I do, I should get the full benefits of it. But I also think that like the non-fat dairy and like Greek yogurt is different than like getting your fat-free shredded cheese. Like those are two different kind of
totally.
fat-free dairy
Scenarios.
products. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I would never go for like fat-free or reduced
Right.
fat cheese.
Right.
But when it's something like Greek yogurt, I see that more as being, I guess, a more succinct way to sum up my thoughts on it is I see that as being a very high protein food.
Mhm.
But when you add fat to the equation, or when you don't remove the fat from the equation, it
Yeah.
ceases to be as high protein of a food because you're just diluting the protein calories in that food. So it's fat-free Greek yogurt is an amazing high protein food.
Yeah.
Um, if you add fat, suddenly its protein calories get diluted, and it's less of a high protein food and
That
more of just like
ratio.
it becomes more of like a meal, a component of a meal,
Yeah.
perhaps. So it's not like when I consume dairy, I look for low fat or fat free dairy, but with Greek yogurt,
It's different.
it's different. Yeah,
Love that. Okay, so we're
yeah.
reaching for protein shakes,
Uh,
Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurt, Paleo Valley beef stick,
Yep. We love them.
beef jerky, great choice in general. What else?
I feel like we should share your hatred of hard-boiled eggs. Not
Oh
because
God.
they're nutrient dense or bad for you, but just a fun fact about Max is he doesn't like hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah. I kind of have like a foot. I don't know. My whole family. This like runs throughout my family. We have like a thing against them. I think it's because like when you grow up, especially like we grew up Jewish, and so like every year we would have like the Passover Seder
Once a year, I'm also Jewish.
once a year. Yeah, and but just in general, like Jewish gatherings, there's a lot of deli food.
Yeah. Fair, 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 fair.
There's always like older people that just like the sight of like older adults chowing down
On the hard-boiled
on
eggs.
hard-boiled eggs and egg salad. To me, it's just like it left me and my brothers with like PTSD
Okay.
of just the visual grossness. And then also it's so rare that hard-boiled eggs are like boiled with the care so as not to overcook them.
Right.
And we know that when you overcook hard-boiled eggs, it leads to a greater amount of hydrogen sulfide, which is what gives eggs that notorious smell.
Smell.
And to me, just growing up, whenever I was around them, they were just always very smelly.
Okay.
So that's why I tend to
Old
avoid them.
people and smelly.
Yeah, unless I make them myself. If I make them myself in the privacy of my own home, it's also a food that like I think is kind of weird to eat out in public. I have a weird
Yeah.
stigma. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, But if I make them myself, I'll never cook them to the point of being like hard boiled.
No, they got to be a little jammy.
A little jammy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a
Okay.
weird food. It's like one of these like kind of weird foods that like, but eggs in any other shape or form,
You're down.
I love. Yeah, I'm super
Okay.
down.
Well, I support a hard-boiled egg as a high-protein snack if anyone needs my support.
They are great. They are a good high
Um,
protein snack. Yes.
And we'll work on that.
They're also super convenient.
Yeah.
Also canned fish, canned tuna. We did that podcast, that wonderful podcast with
Barton. Yeah.
Barton Seaver. And, canned fish is like one of the most accessible health foods in the
Mhm.
United States, whether you live in a food desert or not. Canned fish is ubiquitous. Like you can go into any gas station pretty much
Totally.
and find a can of tuna.
Yeah.
So I'm on board with that for sure.
Okay. Interesting. Do you have
Mhm.
like a iodine supplement you recommend? Someone said best iodine supplement. And like what's the importance of iodine?
Iodine is really important. It gets taken up into the thyroid and it produces your T4 thyroid hormone, which then gets converted to T3 by selenium-based enzymes.
Okay.
So you need iodine and selenium for good thyroid health.
Okay.
And foods that are high in iodine, unfortunately, we don't get a lot of in the standard American diet, which is one of the reasons why it was mandated by the government some decades ago that salt needed to be iodized to prevent thyroid disorders from, becoming epidemic.
Occurring. Yeah.
And and so now it's become sort of an issue because a lot of people are moving away from iodized salt, partially, admittedly, due to the wellness industry having demonized anything processed, right?
Correct.
So that's unfortunate because that's one of those aspects of food processing that I think has been, a net positive for sure.
Yeah.
It's just that the processing sometimes, they have to add like sugar and stuff like that. So if you have access to foods that are high in iodine, like Greek yogurt, I believe is a good source. Turkey is a good source. Eggs are a great source. Seafoods like shrimp and mollusks and bivalves and things like that, all great sources. Seaweed, I believe kelp is like one of the top sources. But if you don't have access to those foods, or if you don't enjoy those foods, you could also take an iodine supplement. I actually have an iodine supplement, no financial affiliation. It's called Detoxidine. It's available on Amazon.
Oh.
I'll take a drop or two of those a week just to make sure that
You're getting enough.
Yeah,
iodine.
because I don't use iodized salt. I use I use Redmond salt, which I love, and then I use Maldon flake salt
We
on
love
everything.
That flake salt life.
Yeah, we love that flake salt life, and that's not iodized. So I'm not consuming a lot of iodized salt.
Right.
And I don't eat seaweed on a particularly regular basis. So yeah, so I do think it can be useful to have an iodine supplement around.
You in there mentioned selenium.
Mhm.
Before we recorded today, you were like, maybe I need some selenium, and you reached for
Some Brazil nuts.
yeah.
Yeah, they're a top source. They're the top source, I believe, of selenium. You just and all it takes is one or two nuts to get your RDA.
And that's thyroid related, right?
Yeah, selenium is, as far as I know, it's more widely used around the body. It's important for it's an antioxidant. It's important for good brain health. But yeah, I think it's primarily known as being important for converting T4 to T3, which is active thyroid hormone.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love just like iodine and all these different aspects of you want to learn more about what they do in your body.
We just sailing through these questions.
Yeah, I'm putting you. I'll sneak in a couple
Fun ones.
chill questions.
All right. Down.
But how, if someone wanted to read up on iodine or selenium or X, Y, and Z, how do you recommend them to read through a science article and kind of know that it's valid, that it's not something biased, paid for, like a solid piece of science?
Yeah. I generally there God, I don't know the exact URL or anything, but the NIH, I believe, has like I think every essential micronutrient has some kind of page at the NIH.gov
I feel like you're right.
that you can go to and get pretty solid information like adequate intake, RDA, where to find these foods, stuff like that. Generally, whenever I search for anything, like in Google, I will type in what it is that I'm searching for, and then I'll put there's this little trick that I use where I'll put site : NIH.gov. So basically, use Google to search within the NIH for just credible stuff.
Yeah.
It also searches PubMed and all that, so it's what you're getting is not, journalistic, it's not like what you're getting is like the game of telephone. You're getting the primary stuff.
I love PubMed.
PubMed, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. On that same topic, but kind of a pivot, what's something you've learned recently that's not health related? Just what's Max learned recently?
What's Max learned recently?
That's supposed to be an easy question.
That's not health related.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I take boxing lessons from our mutual friend Minju. I got Sydney I got her first ever boxing lesson.
I did box once.
Did you like it?
I did. I love Minju. Shout out Minju. He's fantastic. He was patient with me. I've never boxed before.
Do you think that, because I feel like whenever I go to see Minju, it's usually like, because you see the client that he just had leave, they're always
Yeah.
dudes for the most part. Do you think like women ought to give boxing a try?
Well, I think plenty of women do
Do
give
they?
boxing a try. Um,
I think self-defense is so important
yeah.
for men and for women.
I mean, just first off, exercising in general gives you the best high, I think, ever. But post boxing, I felt like I could conquer
Kick butt.
kick. Yeah.
I mean, you could already kick butt, but with boxing,
I was ready. I knew
you're
how
ready.
to pivot and block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sydney does a lot of Pilates.
I do. I love Pilates.
But okay.
Yeah, don't ignore the question.
So the newest thing that I've learned, I've been taking boxing lessons for the past year, but I asked Minju to teach me how to shadow box,
Okay.
which is basically just you're boxing the air, which sounds like it would be kind of an intuitive thing that you could figure out on your own, but
Yeah.
not so. There's like a method to it. And once he taught me how to like properly shadow box, I've like fell in love with it. It's so much fun to do. You could do it anywhere. You could do it at the gym as a warm up. And the really interesting thing about shadow boxing is that when you're hitting something other than the air, when you're hitting a punching bag or when you're hitting pads, your fists are basically like bouncing off of the pads, and it's causing, you're able to like return your hands to your body in a way that doesn't really require that much effort because there's like this bounce.
Yeah.
And also the balance of your body, you're balancing sort of against what it is that you're hitting. With shadow boxing, you've got to basically throw the punch and then pull your fist back as fast as you can. And you're not relying on some sort of external balance
Right.
mechanism to maintain your balance. So it's a workout in a completely different way. And for like 3 days after I, had a few rounds of shadow boxing for the first time, my rear deltoids, like the backs of my shoulders and my lats, were so sore. And I didn't know why. I was like, do I have COVID? Is this like some weird
Love that COVID anxiety.
It's just like unexplained symptom, like
Yeah.
because I couldn't figure it out because I work the back of my shoulders all the time in the gym. Whenever you do any kind of pull day, you're working the backs of your shoulders.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect shadow boxing to cause this degree of soreness, but yeah, it did, and it was like really
Wow.
great workout. Yeah.
Okay. So you're just up in Equinox shadow boxing?
Yeah, I'll like warm up. I'll go to the yoga room and I'll just like
Wow.
do it because you want to do it in front of a mirror because it also helps you look at your form and stuff like that. Form
Do
is really
you
important.
feel like you still get the release by like not hitting something? I'm not aggressive, but
Yeah, you do. You do once
Really?
you learn it. Yeah, because the whole thing with shadow boxing is you want to like actually throw the punch. You want to
Yeah.
like put everything into it that you would otherwise throw a punch. And the other reason why it's important, it's an amazing cardio workout. Just try to do 3 minutes of shadow boxing. It's really freaking
challenge
difficult.
accepted.
But what Minju, my boxing trainer, was telling me was that when you're in a real fight, only about 30% of punches that you throw land. So you're actually in a real fight. You're shadow boxing anyway. You've got to get those muscles built up so that you can endure. So you have endurance, like in a real fight. Professional fighters, maybe 50% of the punches land, right? But in general, it's a really important part of the equation to be able to punch the air and then and then like a rubber band, pull your fist back with the quickness.
Have you ever been in a real fight?
No.
Fair.
So ever since I'm a kid, yeah, just I
Did you ever fight with your brothers?
not like fist fights, no.
Really?
Yeah, we would like annoy each other and get on each other's nerves.
Lugaveres aren't a violent bunch.
We're not. No, I would then run to my parents and have my parents
But you're a-
diffuse it or like try
You're
to
a tattletale.
Yeah,
That's
well,
good.
not a tattletale,
Mm.
but no, I'd be like, my brothers are bothering, like
Snitches get stitches.
Snitches get stitches. No, I was never a fighter. I would always like try to talk my way out of a situation or become friends with people who would potentially want to fight with me. I would
Yeah.
like seek out the aggressors and like become friendly with them first
Okay.
before they could ever, find a problem to have with me. That's always been my strategy.
I respect that.
But as a result, I was always friends with the tough kids.
Really?
growing up, like in my schools. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
It
That's
keeps you
good.
kind of protected,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're
you
out
know?
there strategizing in
Yeah.
elementary school.
Uh-huh.
Okay, wait, speaking of exercise and, like, fitness, do you ever go through, like, lulls of where, like, you don't wanna exercise? And if you do feel like you don't wanna exercise, how do you get yourself out of that lull, "I don't wanna exercise" hole?
I just force myself generally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
okay.
there's a quote like motivation, it's
Mm,
either motivation or inspiration are for
it's
amateurs basically. Like the pros, whether or not they have that motivation, that's where discipline kicks in and you just get yourself up and you go to the
and you
gym.
go.
Whether it's practice for whatever it is that you're trying, whatever your craft is, fitness, your diet, discipline is really
Yeah,
the secret sauce.
yeah. There's a quote once that was like, "I have never regretted a workout, I've regretted not working out."
Love that.
Which I, like, find true. I don't love regrets, but, like, you get yourself there, and once you're there, there's never a regret.
Is that
So,
is that what you use, like, on days that you're not feeling it?
probably. I love the routine of it, and just, like, structuring my day around it because it's kind of both you time and time for your mind and your body. Big old routine gal, but, when I don't feel like doing it, I just start off with, like, I'll go for a walk, and that 10-minute walk can turn into, like, a 30-minute walk. Because once you get out that door, I find that it's so much easier to keep going than
Yeah.
but is boxing nowadays, like, your favorite form of exercise, would you say?
It's definitely up there, but no, it's not my favorite is still just, like, hitting the weight room and
Okay,
throwing around some weights, yeah.
okay.
I just
Throwing around some weights.
throwing around
That's
some weights,
very
yeah. I've always just loved that.
Okay.
That's my go-to.
Okay, post-workout, what are we eating?
There used to be this concept of the anabolic window, which I think has been largely falsified, particularly if you're in a fed state. If you had breakfast and you have circulating amino acids already, then you don't really
Mhm.
need to rush to get protein. But I enjoy, for the most part, a fasted workout. And so afterwards, I am sort of like hustling to go and get like, a good 30 to 40 grams of protein in my system, usually from animal sources.
Perfect. Love that.
Yeah.
Are we gonna build a sauna?
Oh, man.
Like,
An official Genius Life sauna. Well,
yeah,
we used to have one at the old
I
place.
know we did.
My favorite sauna, I mean, honestly, and if you guys are using this to determine which saunas you should use, the best sauna is the one that you have access to. So,
Love that answer.
yeah. Personally, I have had great sweat sessions in infrared saunas, but I also really love hot Finnish traditional sauna. And I routinely these days because I have access to a hot Finnish sauna, that's what I'm doing for the most part. I try to do it 5-6 days a week. So yeah, those are whatever sauna you have access to, I think is the best because really the mechanism is like heat stress. So whether you're sitting in an infrared sauna and you're getting to the point of discomfort because you're sweating so much, or you have access to a more traditional one, or you don't have access to any sauna, and a couple times a week you put on a sweater and you go outside and maybe do some exercise and allow your body to like heat up a little bit. Um, Conceivably the same benefits would apply.
Okay. Oh, that's good to know. I don't have a sauna, but I like that feeling, but I don't know how to. But like if I put on a sweater and go hike Runyon,
Yeah, when you hike Runyon Canyon in LA and it's a 90-degree day and you're hustling up the mountain and you're sweating and it's super hot, I mean, you're activating many, if not
so
all of the
that's heat
same
stress
mechanisms. Yeah.
as like sitting in
Yeah.
a dry sauna.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I
that's good to
mean,
know. I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. You're activating heat shock proteins, you're sweating. Yeah. I mean, there's probably some unique benefits to sitting in a sauna, but I would say, it's splitting hairs at that point. Like if you're exercise, if you're like, for example, hot yoga.
I was gonna ask about hot yoga because there's some debate about hot yoga. Just like should you put your body through that intense heat stress?
I mean,
Maybe a few years ago, that like Bikram yoga
yeah.
was like of debate, but I love a hot yoga class. Not all the time, but that feeling when you get out, pretty.
I
Pretty
personally would
sweet.
rather. I like to sort of segregate my exercise
Mm-hmm.
from the heat stress.
Yeah,
I'd much rather endure heat, especially extreme heat, while sitting because it's already a stress on the body. So you're compounding
fair.
stress when you're doing hot yoga, and I think that you've got to be in pretty good shape, and you've got to be able to listen to your body. At that point, if
Totally.
you're doing that. Um,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
so yeah, hot yoga is not my favorite thing to do.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's just like it's too much. You
Yeah.
don't need to endure that to get the benefits of it. Like there are, and also it's not as evidence based as the recommendation to sit in a sauna. I mean, they're doing crazy research
True.
now at University of Eastern Finland showing us that just sitting in a sauna is associated with remarkable health benefits. So that
Um,
that kind of data doesn't exist to my knowledge for hot yoga.
okay, another Sid Road question. When so you get an ice bath and those are like there are techniques to like adjust and become comfortable, quote unquote, within that ice bath. Do you have those same kind of techniques to do when you're like in a hot sauna, slightly uncomfortable? Like, are there breathing techniques that you should do in a sauna or no? Does it work that
Um,
way?
no, I don't really try to. I just try to breathe
Just
like
that.
normally and to not, you know, f- not breathe too fast, not breathe too slow. Just
Okay.
kind of be, just to be normal and to
To
put
be normal.
to breathe normally and to. Although sitting in a cold plunge, I do tend to. The inclination is to breathe really rapidly.
Right.
So I try to, yeah, I guess I make a conscious decision to kind of slow my
To
breath. It's
okay.
actually quite easy for me to hold my breath for like 10-15 second intervals when I'm in a
In
in a cold plunge,
cold
but I
plunge?
wouldn't do that um in a sauna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it less oxidative stress? Is that
Um
why or no? I don't know if there's an answer or if that's a real question. I
no, I mean
just
I think that when you're sitting in cold water, there's just a marked, like, the stress response I think is just a lot more it's like a lot more pronounced.
okay,
Like your body enters a fight or flight. Like as soon as you
more than
get
in the
into
sauna.
yeah, as soon as you get into water that's 40 degrees.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
like
done it once. I don't
like
wouldn't like to do it again.
you just know, and then also like the mammalian diving response kicks
Mhm.
in, and yeah, your body starts to freak out.
Yeah.
I don't think that is
As engaged when you
when you're sitting in a
hop in
sauna.
that
Yeah.
sauna. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like the sauna hats?
Oh man. They're so nerdy.
An 11.
They're so dorky, but they work really well. Sauna hats, they keep your head cool. They protect your hair,
Yeah.
but they let you endure the heat longer when you have a sauna hat on. They're made of wool. They just basically, like, they keep your head cool while the rest of your body, just
Interesting.
schwitzes.
Schwitzes.
Yeah.
Dita Emiri 7 wants to know your favorite type of ice cream.
Oh my God, my favorite type of ice
Let's
cream?
yeah,
Hmm.
because you like ice cream,
I like ice
correct?
cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had some. Geez, I don't have a favorite. I mean, here's the thing. When I buy ice cream, I tend to buy, I believe it's like So Delicious. Maybe that's the brand.
The soy
It's not soy, it's coconut,
coconut?
and it's no sugar added.
Okay.
It's like the no sugar added one. They have it
Okay.
at Whole Foods. Um, but the problem with that is it's loaded with like this chicory root fiber stuff,
Ugh.
which if you eat too much of it, it's like bloat city. So you got to be really careful.
Okay.
Um,
But what about flavor? Let's like
Flavor, ice cream
brands
flavor.
great. We love ice cream brands. But yeah, flavor.
Yeah,
Yours
I'm a vanilla guy, not into chocolate. I like vanilla, maybe some pistachio or like
okay.
I had a honeycomb flavored ice cream the other day that was really good from Van
I
Leeuwen's.
was gonna say the Van Leeuwen honeycomb
Van Leeuwen's
is
is pretty good.
delicious.
But no, just in general, I think like if given the choice, I would probably default to vanilla. Just yeah,
Mm,
vanilla.
you're wild.
I like I'll eat like a chocolate bar, but I'm not really into chocolate ice cream or chocolate protein shakes or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, you were like, vanilla.
Vanilla, yeah.
Wow.
With
You're really
sprinkles.
fun.
With sprinkles. Oh my God. What about you?
Sprinkles. Ooh, do love the honeycomb. Um, I tend to not do a non-dairy ice cream. If I'm gonna go ice cream, I can do the dairy.
Hmm.
So I love like a Jenny's Brambleberry, like kind of the fruity but like savory a little bit.
Wow.
I don't know if you've ever had Jenny's Brambleberry, but it's like a blueberry cobbler and an ice cream.
Hmm.
Which cobbler might be a southern thing. I was gonna ask you if you've ever had cobbler.
No. Well, another thing about me is I definitely don't like fruit anywhere near my ice
Ice
cream.
cream?
Yeah. Like strawberry ice
I
cream,
wouldn't do strawberry ice cream.
gross.
Yeah,
Or
fair.
I like my desserts not fruity. I like my desserts like cinnamon, chocolate, vanilla, caramel.
Okay, classic.
Like, how
Ugh.
would you describe those flavors compared to fruity? I just don't like
Don't get out much.
I like fruit, maybe. I like fruit to be fruit. And then I like my dessert stuff to be
Oh,
not fruit
I'm
flavored.
gonna respectfully disagree.
Disagree? Okay.
Because you've got fruit, delicious,
Yeah.
sweets. There's nothing better than like a fresh cream with some like really good berries, maybe like a little mint.
Well, that's fair, but then they're whole berries. It's not like berry flavored cream or anything like that, you know?
Fair, fair. Okay, we're not mixing.
Whole
We'll
berries.
keep things separate. We won't touch.
Yeah, separation between
Mm-hmm. Fine.
church and state.
I liked that question. That was a fun question.
Yeah, it
Thanks
was.
for asking. Let's see. Someone also, speaking of that, this is another fun question, is like, can you give me OMG Karen LOL? Asked, can you give me a list of the best places to eat in LA?
Oh
This
man.
is a fun question.
Yeah, I want you to chime in on this one too.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite spots to eat in LA are Erewhon, which is a supermarket, very overpriced supermarket. It's sort of like Stockholm syndrome at this point. Like they have us
out
by the neck
for you.
Yeah, it's so expensive, but the hot food bar really is actually, I think, a pretty great value because you get really high quality food. You know, all the beef is grass fed, all the veggies are organic.
Yep.
And you get these like little meal plates. People like I post them on my Instagram sometimes. They come in these like trays where you have like the main course and then there's these two little side dishes. And people are always like, "Where are you getting that from?" It's not that I'm meal prepping it. I get it from Erewhon.
Yep.
And there's this community vibe where you get your plate and you sit outside. And I always bump into people that I know. So love that. My favorite Thai restaurant in the world in LA is called is in LA. It's called Pink Pepper.
Yep.
It's in Hollywood.
Ditto.
Because of me, or was that your favorite before?
I used to go there when I would come to visit my aunt, like back when I was way younger and would come to LA to visit. We'd order in Pink Pepper.
That's so cool.
But then I think you reminded me of it when I moved out here.
My therapist says that I like safety, that I keep my world really small, and that's why I tend to eat at the same places over and over and over again. I don't tire of it.
Checks out with the vanilla ice cream as well.
Yeah, and she also said that's why I listen to like the same musical artists over and over and over again.
Yeah,
it runs deep.
Okay.
But anyway, I digress. So yeah,
Pink Pepper.
Pink Pepper is my favorite Thai restaurant in the world. Everything on the menu is it's a largely gluten-free restaurant, and everything that they make that's not gluten-free they can make it gluten-free. And best chicken curry I've ever had in my life.
Chicken, salmon,
and salmon curry, and tom kha kai, the soup, the coconut milk broth. It's my that soup to me is like the food equivalent of like getting into a hot tub when it's cold outside. That's what it does for my soul.
Wow.
Yeah. Best.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like that.
Pink Pepper.
Okay, Pink Pepper. What else we got?
I also love what else do I love? I could eat at Erewhon and Pink Pepper like over and over and over and over.
Where do you got visitors in from New York? Where are we taking them?
So my favorite steakhouse in
I don't know
LA.
if I know this.
It's Meat on Ocean. It's called Meat.
Okay.
And it's in Santa Monica. Best ribeye I think I've ever had.
Okay.
Yeah. Close, maybe a tie with this other place that I really like called the Draycott in Pacific Palisades.
Okay.
The Draycott in Pacific Palisades has an incredible ribeye, and Meat on Ocean, incredible ribeye. And whenever I go to a restaurant, if there's a ribeye on the menu, generally I'll try it. Best I've ever had, Meat on Ocean and the Draycott.
Okay.
I love those two places. And I guess finally, sugarfish. I
was gonna guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I love sugarfish. I eat the shit out of sugarfish, and people are, generally I'm grain. I don't eat a lot of grains, but Their rice is so good.
It's really good indoors too. Like we've been eating it out, I guess, because of COVID, but it's like warm when you eat at Sugarfish.
I
So
resisted
good.
that restaurant for a long time because they refused to carry gluten-free soy sauce, and I actually was going to uh, like I don't know. I think I was gonna like either leave a mean review or something or whatever because I was so offended because they have like this. There's this like ego that I think some sushi chefs and sushi places have,
Okay.
and I definitely felt it at Sugarfish. Like we're too cool to carry. Like you're gonna eat it our way, or you don't have to fucking
Yeah.
eat here, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, no. Some people have preferences, and you can easily have some gluten-free soy sauce, like every other restaurant in LA.
Yeah.
Um, they don't. So I didn't eat there for a long time until I was like, all right, I'm going to try this place. Everybody else seems to love it. So I
Mhm.
went to Whole Foods and I bought these little packets. You can buy packets of gluten free tamari sauce,
Okay.
organic too. And so now whenever I go to Sugarfish, whenever I eat in the restaurant, I bring in my pocket like 4 or 5 packets of like gluten free
Wow.
tamari sauce. Yeah,
That screams I'm a health influencer.
it does. And I also keep gluten free soy sauce in my house at all times and ponzu sauce
Yeah.
so that I can order up from sushi
I
places.
respect that if you take it into your own hands.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to get from a sushi restaurant, Sugarfish doesn't carry this, but it's yellowtail collar. It's one of the best values on any sushi menu. If you go to,
Yellowtail collar.
yeah, yellowtail collar.
Okay.
I think it's called, I don't know the Japanese name. It's like hamachi something. Um, but, uh, but basically it's not something that most Americans will order. And it's like this kind of throwaway part of the fish. It's the collar of the yellowtail, which is like
Okay.
this huge tuna. And and they broil it and they serve it typically with ponzu, but they usually don't charge a lot for it. It's like it tends to be very inexpensive and
Really?
it's a ton of protein. Like you just go to
Okay.
town on it and it's so good dipped in ponzu sauce. But most ponzu sauce that you get in Japanese restaurants is not going to be gluten free either. And my preference is to eat gluten free.
Right.
And so I'll order that to my house and I keep gluten free ponzu in the fridge. And
Wow, I
so
don't know if I've ever had that.
yellowtail
That's a good
collar,
hack. I
yeah, you
love a
should
sushi hack.
it's really good. It's
Okay.
like it's usually very inexpensive, and lots of meat on the
Yeah.
collar. So it's a great
Hmm.
and filling thing to get whenever you see it.
Have you been to Sea Butter, which is and I love Sugarfish, but Sea Butter is like my favorite sushi restaurant in LA.
No.
It's, I think off Olympic or
Hmm,
something. It's
good.
small. They're
Huh.
so nice in there.
I'm down.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think if you missed any restaurants that I like, but
Bossa Nova I go to a lot. I love
never been
Brazilian
there.
food. Bossa Nova's great.
Okay.
Um, I would just get their traditional grilled,
Yeah.
chicken or, lemon
Mhm.
garlic chicken, super good.
Nice.
Get some beans, some plantains.
Any restaurants that you miss from New York?
There is one chain. I'm big on fast casual.
Okay.
I like I like restaurants that are fast. Oh, I forgot to mention Tsum Tsum. Tsum Tsum is
Oh,
amazing in LA. It's like a
you're
recent discovery.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I
Israeli
still
food.
haven't had it.
It's so good. In New York, there's a chain of restaurants called Dig In
Okay.
that I'm kind of addicted to. Whenever I'm in New York, I have to eat there because
Okay.
their chicken thighs and their just everything is so
Is good.
tasty. I'm sure that a lot of they use like canola oil and stuff, and that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But when you're sort of living out of a suitcase, Hugh Kitchen in New York closed, which
Yeah.
I used to be a big fan of. So now it's kind of slim pickings. But yeah, dig in for the most part, other than the fact that they use canola oil, really
Is it?
healthy, really tasty,
Love
and
that.
and ubiquitous, like easy to find in New York.
Perfect. We love food just in general.
Yeah.
Um, let's see what other questions. Um, this is like a simple kind of quick one. MJB underscore 123 asks, what is the best time to take glycine before or after eating, AM or PM? Is there a good time to take glycine?
Really good question. I think probably the best time to take it is at night. Uh, I don't think it makes a huge difference in terms of when you take it, but glycine is one of the building blocks of collagen.
Hmm.
Um, and there have also been studies that have shown that taking glycine prior to bed can increase sleep quality. And so in those studies, they take glycine prior to bed. So just as a sleep aid. I think it could be beneficial from that angle. But we know that your body is like repairing itself when we sleep. When you sleep, that's when you get the greatest, pulse of growth hormone, which helps to
Right.
promote, the growth and repair of connective tissue, um, joints, hair, skin, nails, things like that. And so, conceivably, you would want the building blocks of collagen to be around when that occurs. Just speculating, but
Yeah.
that's when I would probably choose to take it. But if you take it in the morning, like I'll sometimes mix when I'm drinking coffee. I'll mix collagen into my coffee, um, which collagen is 1/3 glycine, so you're getting some glycine when you take collagen. So yeah, I don't think it matters that much. But from a sleep quality improvement standpoint, from a if you're trying to improve, if you're taking it for joint health and stuff like that, I probably would want to take it at night.
Speaking of like taking a supplement at night, it helping sleep, makes me think of magnesium.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on like when to take magnesium? Because aren't there a few studies that talk about like magnesium helping
With
with
sleep,
sleep?
yeah. I think that the studies that I've seen, because I've definitely looked at those studies, they don't necessarily take them prior to bedtime. I
Okay.
think you just want to make sure that you're getting adequate magnesium,
Okay.
and that will help boost sleep quality. I don't necessarily think that you have to take it prior to
So
bed.
it's not like a melatonin or something like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and who
Interesting.
knows? There might be
Yeah, I don't know.
there might be a reason to take it at night, but the studies that I've seen with magnesium, it's just a daily supplement. I don't recall that they
Okay.
uh, made the subjects take them prior to bed.
Yeah, I went rogue there.
And half of people don't consume adequate magnesium. So if you're not consuming the adequate amount of magnesium that your body needs, magnesium is required for hundreds of enzymatic processes in the body. So I'm sure some of those processes are involved in regulating uh you know our diurnal sleep related processes. So
Okay. I love magnesium. I think
yeah.
it's one of my favorite. Connor T. Stewart asks, what food supplements do you bring with you when you travel?
Ooh, good question. I'm actually traveling next week, and I've already started to think about what I'm going to bring with me. Generally, I try not to bring that much. I'll throw some protein. Generally, I try to bring foods with me, like snacks.
Okay.
Like I'll bring protein bars.
Sardines.
Sometimes I'll travel with sardines, beef jerky, because you don't want to get stuck at the airport starving,
No.
and have to rely on their overpriced,
Right.
super meager snack selection. So I think it's always smart to travel with food.
Yes.
It's sort of like meal prepping, but like,
Yeah.
relevant to travel.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to supplements, I mean, typically I'll bring fish oil with me. Magnesium is super important, so I'll try to bring magnesium with me. If I'm going to a place where I know that I'm going to be getting a lot of sun, I bring my astaxanthin with me because astaxanthin can help protect your skin um, from the sun's rays, from oxidative stress due to excessive sun exposure. Um, what else? Uh, I've been bringing like Live On Labs packets, like
Mhm.
glutathione, with me because sometimes when you're sitting on the jet runway, you're inhaling all kinds of like jet fumes. So, I'll just pop some extra glutathione just for like added insurance. Um, Whoever I'm sitting next to
Yep. Mhm.
definitely doesn't appreciate when I do that because
Yeah.
their supplements, those supplements smell really bad.
Yeah.
But
I feel like
you
after
got to do what
like
you
the
got to do.
4th one, like after you've tried the glutathione 4 times, like you could do it. Like a
Yeah. You just have to you gotta wash your mouth out to really rinse your mouth because I mean, it's not good. It's like,
the benefits though outweigh the
yeah,
I love a
Glu-
liposomal.
because glutathione contains a lot of sulfur, and so that's what it is. It's like
We all circle back to eggs.
yeah, it's really gnarly. I think I made Sydney. I made you try,
Yes. Made.
and you squeezed it into your mouth. Is that how you took it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hardcore. We don't
pretty
I
gnarly.
didn't like mix it in anything. Yeah, it's super gnarly.
But shout out to Live on Labs.
Yeah, we love them. We did the B complex the other day while we were working.
We did, yeah.
I like
Um,
that one.
yeah, I'll take a B. I'll take a B complex with me sometimes. Um, what else?
So
Yeah, I mean, my supplement, generally like protein, some kind of protein. I don't like to when traveling. Food procurement is like the biggest question
yeah,
mark, and so I want to make sure that I'm getting like on a day to day basis. Like, I think my big picture priority is making sure that I'm getting enough protein.
yeah. I feel that way too when like I travel and like, traveling's a little anxiety provoking and like part of like what am I going to eat can also be contributing to that anxiety that like if I pack snacks, it helps relinquish some of that travel anxiety just knowing I'm going to have
Yeah,
something nourishing versus wandering around the news week daily whatever store that is looking for
Hudson News.
Hudson News
Yeah,
looking for unsalted nuts because
I
I'm
went
lots
to.
of fun.
Yeah, nuts are like a double edged sword because
Ooh,
obviously.
let's go into
Let's go
nuts.
into nuts. I feel like we had a question or two about nuts. No,
Um,
we'll find them.
we were so organized with like our highlighting and we
Yeah,
just had a lot of fun with this. But let's
nuts are incredibly healthy. They're also one of the most calorie dense foods that are available to the modern human. So, I just suggest moderation when consuming them. But I think one of the biggest potential traps when traveling is to, you go and buy a huge bag of nuts. And when I'm sitting on an airplane board, like I can easily go through any size bag, any number of servings of nuts,
all
because I'm
times.
just shoveling them into my face. And
Not even your mouth.
no, just my
This is the whole
yeah, yeah. I like how descriptive that sounds because it really is true. It's like you're
Yeah.
just eating mindlessly when you're on an
Yes.
airplane, and with a bag of nuts, you can easily consume 1,100 calories just sitting on your butt, shoveling them into your face.
Yeah.
And again, nuts are very healthy. They're loaded with micronutrients, healthy fats, and things like that. But you just want to be careful. That's why when I eat nuts lately, if with Brazil nuts, I'll pop like two or three,
Pop them.
here and there just to support thyroid health. But generally with nuts, I'm not eating them out of the bag anymore. I use them for like in recipes where there's like
Mhm.
a portion
I
control
was gonna
element.
say portion. I mean, that's kind of with any kind of snacky food though. That's like by the handful. It's like it's so easy to overindulge in it. Like
Yeah.
even popcorn. It's like little harm, no foul, but like you still can shove your whole face with it.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I mean, no, I'll go to town. Like it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about communicating to people how food has been shown to affect their behavior is because I feel like I'm a textbook example of somebody who, like, when I open the bag of something that to me is delicious, it takes like real mental muscle to
Yeah.
stop. And especially if I'm just sitting down on a couch watching TV, if
Mhm.
I'm distracted. Like the other day, I bought Real World Story here. I was like playing because me and my brothers we learned how to play poker over the past year. And we love to play it with one another. It's like really fun. I bought a bag of like paleo pretzels.
Yeah.
And I was just like, because I was so immersed in the game, I was just like eating them. I was like, while I was chewing one pretzel, I was already thinking about the joy that I was going to derive from the next one that I was going to put in my
Yeah.
mouth. I wasn't even conscious of the pretzel that was currently in
You
my
weren't
mouth.
present.
I wasn't
Yeah.
present. Yeah. Just thinking about like, just give me more.
Mhm.
And I went through the whole bag by myself. Yeah.
Okay.
The whole bag. I whole bagged it.
You whole bagged it.
I whole bagged it.
Yeah. Which happens and there should be no regret or
I regretted it.
there shouldn't be though. I mean, it
No.
happens.
Yeah. No shame. No.
Yeah, no shame. Maybe that's better than no regret. So
Yeah.
how do you we'll get psychological here. How do you talk to yourself after you've done that? Because I feel like that's something a lot of people like you go to a baseball game, you eat like I don't know, you eat something that potentially you regret.
Yeah.
What's your like inner dialogue there? How do you
Um, yeah, I mean it's hard to say like, it's like you're not going to say I didn't regret like
right.
eating
I
that
guess
whole
that's fair.
bag of, like I didn't intend when I opened the bag to be the only one eating them and whoops, like
First off, you didn't share.
cuz
Sharing is
they weren't taking any.
mhm.
I was like, "Here, anybody want pretzels? Anybody want?" I was like trying to give it away
We'll
to
fact
everybody else
check that.
that I was like playing with. And I swear to God, but nobody took any.
Yeah.
And so they ended up staying by me and I ended up eating the whole bag. So, it's did I regret it? I mean, yeah, but you just like but it's fine. You can regret something and also know it's fine.
Totally.
So that's kind
And I
of how
love
I,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's like kind of how I
You can
approach
regret
those
something, but
things.
not dwell on it.
Yeah, like we're going back to the ice cream conversation. Sometimes, when I'm sitting with my brothers and I
Yeah.
know that there's like nobody else around, well, like I'll overindulge on the ice cream and then my stomach starts to feel really bad. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, why did I
You
knew
guys
that
have
that was
got to
going to,
get out.
yeah, pretty much. I'm going to need to quarantine myself for a different reason. Um, but yeah, like your stomach hurts. You knew not to do that going into that experience, but
Yep.
you did it anyway.
Yep.
And so it's totally fine to have a regret.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in this like no regrets
Yeah.
sort of philosophy. Like,
It's probably not practical.
yeah, and also like it undermines like learning.
Totally.
I think that the more times you do something like that,
Yeah.
the more ingrained the response becomes, and so maybe not to do it next time, or you do it less, you do it fewer times.
Yeah.
So now I'm a lot more careful and whatever,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I think you just have to know that it's like fine. There's no shame, there's no judgment. There's you know like one of my favorite sort of mantras is you know like if you have a meal or if you do something or if you fall off the bandwagon or you miss a week or a month of exercise, like you can always turn it back around.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can always
Yep.
turn things around. So
Yeah. I love that.
yeah.
That kind of goes just with like being in tune with yourself. Monica J 1912 says, not a question, but wanted to say I'm psyched about your therapy journey.
Thanks.
I know. I'm psyched for anyone's therapy journey, but like I feel like you've been really vocal about sharing your journey. What is something that you didn't expect to get from therapy? Like I think self-growth is something that like you're like, "Oh, I'll go into therapy and grow." But was there something that like since you've been in therapy that you're like, "Oh shit, that I didn't expect to gain from therapy?"
Well, I found a therapist. She's super insightful. And yeah, I mean, I guess what I didn't expect was how just connected everything is to your childhood.
Mhm.
Um, and the way that you're raised. And so I went into therapy very intentional to try to sort out like relationship issues.
Mhm.
I had one sort of primary relationship that lasted sort of a very long time in my life, and we weren't together for the entire time, but it was kind of on and off for a while, and there was a lot of like love, but there was also a lot of trauma, and I found myself in this position where I couldn't commit to her, but I also couldn't really be without her. And and the relationship doesn't, we don't have a relationship anymore. But all of that sort of caused me to want to go see a therapist to sort of unravel like how that came to be,
Mhm.
um, and to try to understand like why, you know, like I don't know. I kind of see
You don't
therapy
have to
as
know.
like, yeah, I kind of see therapy as like, when you're if you're like if you want to like organize your sock drawer, you kind of have to like take everything out of the drawer first,
Yeah.
you know, and like refold everything, reorganize things before you put it back
Yeah.
in. You can't reorganize the sock drawer without taking things out first.
Yeah.
Um and so therapy is kind of a place to like unload all the stuff so that you can see how everything connects to one another and to see where everything goes before putting it all back in,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, I think it does.
I don't know.
I don't know.
My own sort of like convoluted way to think about it. But yeah, it's all sort of, connected to my childhood and like
Yeah.
the desire for like safety and support and all that stuff, which I thought that I had growing up. I had a pretty privileged upbringing. I grew up in New York City to parents that were hardworking and luckily, very affluent for most of my childhood.
Mhm.
And but there was some stuff in my parents like relationship with one another that I witnessed that
Yeah.
probably didn't do my emotional development any favors. And so just trying to get to the root cause
Yeah.
in therapy. And it is great.
Yeah.
I found somebody who's, just really, really intuitive and articulate and insightful. And
Yeah.
I highly recommend it to people.
Ditto.
Yeah.
I loved my therapist in therapy and just kind of like building those tools that I think we as humans don't naturally have. And like building your toolbox, kind of like your sock drawer of like building out your sock drawer that's like stronger, that's got like the tools to deal with like thoughts or things that come through that you couldn't really get to on your own, but therapy helps you get to those tools and building your toolbox full of helpful things,
Yeah.
thoughts and
Have you ever
things like
used a
that.
therapy app?
Like a Headspace type app or
Yeah. I think there's an app actually. It's not Headspace, but maybe it's called Talkspace or something.
I've not
No.
used a therapy app, but I love that there are things out there that are making therapy more accessible because that was part of my like big anxiety when it went to trying to like deciding I wanted to see a therapist and like trying to find a good therapist. It's like, how do you trust this human that you don't know? And how do you know it's going to be a good relationship? I had like anxiety about fixing anxiety.
Yeah.
Um, Woohoo. Um, but I like that they're what was it called? Talkspace?
I think so. Yeah.
That they're is it like
I think it's like it's like telemedicine, but
love
for
that.
therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's an important is just making I mean, we had Zach Williams on a few weeks ago, just like making therapy and talking more accessible.
Yeah.
Because it is quite important.
Super.
But I'm like proud of you for joining therapy as your
Thanks.
as part of the Genius Life. That's huge.
Yeah. It's
Um,
important.
okay, so I'm trying to think. Ooh, I like this one. Speaking of like therapy, we can move right into what we debate about. What I don't know if this is teeth floss.
Yeah.
Do you recommend? This question comes from Carrie Okalau. So floss, what floss do you recommend? And then let's chat about the order of operation.
Yes.
Um,
We're probably going to get some feedback on this.
no, I'm ready for
Yeah. So I recommend floss. First of all, I can't go to sleep without flossing my teeth. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people out there that don't floss regularly, and
Yeah.
I don't understand it. The only incentive that I need to floss my teeth is when I floss my teeth, I see what I pull out of between my teeth, and that to me is the incentive to floss every single night.
Okay.
I don't want to go to bed with that between my teeth, just chilling
Yeah.
for 8 hours
Mm.
while I go to sleep in my
Yeah.
mouth. So I floss every night. I use dental floss, not dental tape, because dental tape
What is dental tape?
is like usually it's Glide. It's for people that, it just like more easily slides between the teeth, but you want a bit of an abrasive texture
Okay.
on your floss to scrape the crap from the sides of your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And what they found also is that dental tape is made with PFAS substances, which are basically like what they use to make Teflon. So they're endocrine disruptors.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you don't want to use Glide floss.
Okay.
I also don't really like the picks. Like my brothers, they don't floss. They use those picks that have like the floss. It's like a plastic thing with like the floss.
I love those and like I keep some in my car.
I don't like them.
Okay.
Yeah, because they don't let you.
I feel like it's like the motion. That's like the kind of back and forth that you don't get, maybe.
Well, first of all, what those have is usually Glide. So it's like,
Okay.
yeah. So there's that. They don't really let you scrape the way that dental floss lets you, and you've got it in your hands, and you're like scraping in between your teeth.
Okay.
I also keep dental floss in my car, like
Yeah.
just for emergencies. Like definitely need to have my dental floss around. And then in terms of the order of operations, you gotta floss before you brush your teeth.
I disagree. Everyone,
you're wrong.
But let's let our Genius Life family decide.
Let us know what you think. Text 310-299-9401. Are you a before you brush flosser or are you an after you brush flosser?
After brush flosser picks up what your toothbrush left behind.
No, you want to I think you want to floss first because you're making room for the toothpaste and the bristles to get in between the cracks of your teeth.
Okay.
And also, those food particles are then going to like soak up the freaking toothpaste. And you're pulling like,
Well, I don't I don't have a good argument. I just know you're wrong.
I'm pretty sure I think that there was even like I don't know, I can't recall it, but I'm pretty sure that I read at some point there was like a study.
Everyone reads a study.
I know, but I remember reading it and really loving that I was reading it because you and I had recently had that
Mhm.
conversation. I was like, I can't wait to send this to Sydney and to prove her wrong.
I've yet to receive the study, guys. KMM 18326. Best cures for a headache. Like, how do you Max gets a headache?
Yeah. Um, I I surmise that people get different headaches for different reasons. Um, but for me personally, whenever I get a headache, exercise always makes it go away.
I agree.
Just some like mild to moderate aerobic exercise, which could be a walk. It
Mhm.
could just be a walk. Um, Also making sure that you're hydrated, that can help. Um, you know, consuming some electrolytes. We love our electrolyte powders from Element.
That's what's in my Hydro Flask right now.
Yeah, they're a sponsor of the show. Uh, we love that. But yeah, generally, whenever I have a headache, exercise really clears it right up, which is, kind of paradoxical because when you have a headache, the last thing you want to do is exercise.
Mhm.
But that's again where discipline comes in. And I find that when I do get a workout in, yeah, it's great. There
I
was
feel like
something,
that's the same thing with sleep. Like when you're tired, you don't want to exercise, but like exercising helps with sleep.
yeah, there was also something interesting that I saw recently. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I mean, eating a healthful diet also can help reduce the
Mhm.
risk of headaches. Oh, yeah, they found that omega 3s.
Oh,
It was an intervention study. Let me see. I thought this was great. I shared this on social media. It was published in the BMJ, British Medical Journal.
love.
A diet high in omega 3 fatty acids, especially while also reducing intake of omega 6 fats, led to shorter and less severe headaches compared with those who ate a typical American diet. So, we already know that cleaning up your diet can do so many good things for you, for your mental health, for your risk for neurodegenerative disease. Um, it's just so incredible to me how powerful a role diet plays in
Yeah,
the health and functioning on a moment to moment basis of the brain. But yeah, so all of the same guidelines that we put forth in Genius Foods in the Genius Life um, can also help to reduce
yeah,
you know to reduce migraines,
yeah.
things like that. So
Love that. So
yes,
true.
yeah, and that study also involved an omega 3 fish oil supplement. So
Mm,
if you're prone to headaches, definitely make sure that you're
try it.
optimizing for omega 3s.
Love that. Let's put that study in the show notes
Yeah, for sure.
because I feel like that's a good reference. Okay, so Shannon Siebert writes, what are your health and wellness related pet peeves? I
Oh,
love this question.
health and wellness related pet peeves. Man, that's a good question. I mean, there's like I don't know if they're pet peeves, but there's so many things that I see sort of in the community at large that irks me. Whether it's like um, the promotion of the idea that like people that like calories are all that matter
Hmm.
to, you know, cleanses and detox teas and,
Ugh,
overpriced, probably useless supplement marketing. But I guess something that is more. I mean, I guess those are kind of like obvious things that
yeah.
rub me the wrong way. I'm actually not a big fan of this like the quantified self movement where like sleep trackers and things like that. I think that they can be super helpful for a time as like
Hmm.
just an initial audit of how you're doing. The same way that I think tracking macros and calories can be
Yeah,
useful if you've never audited your diet before. But generally, I think we outsource enough to devices, and I think it's probably useful to develop a strong internal compass of how you're sleeping,
totally.
and I don't necessarily know for a fact that all of these devices are all that accurate anyway.
Hmm.
So They're very expensive. Lots of influencers promote the hell out of them. We know
Yeah.
that. But I'm just not a big, I'm not sold.
Yeah, because nothing really tells you how you're doing more than your body.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Like, how do you feel when you wake up?
right.
How do you feel mid-afternoon? Do you feel like you need like a serious nap? One of the best things that I did recently is stop drinking
I
caffeine
knew
in
you were
coffee.
gonna go there.
Yeah. I love caffeine and I love coffee, but I have to be honest, I feel amazing without it. Way better than I do with it. And I'll probably start to bring it back, um, you know, in a more sort of deliberate way, like maybe once a week, twice a week, something like that. But I know that when it gets to the point, which it probably inevitably will, to where where I'm drinking it every morning again,
Mm-hmm.
that I know where that leads to. That leads to, me drinking more, like a higher dose of caffeine, getting lax about having caffeine in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and it doesn't lead to good things. And it's not like I was like a 5 cup a day kind of person,
Yeah.
but um, but yeah, it just when you're just running on your own sort of fuel, it just feels way better, and you're not screwing with your hormones, like cortisol and stuff as much. So
Yeah. I salute you there. I couldn't do it.
couldn't do it.
I mean, never say never, but I just enjoy coffee too much.
Yeah,
Um, and I feel like I've got a semi-healthy relationship with it,
that's good.
but salute you.
I love coffee too. I
So
mean,
good.
I know, and I still eat some dark chocolate. Like, well, I definitely do
Oh,
eat dark. I just had I had some cacao in my drink that I just had, which we know has a little bit of caffeine,
right.
but not as much as like the large cold brew that I was drinking.
Yeah.
When you drink coffee on an empty stomach, it screws you up, especially first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
I think it leads to
Yeah.
you know uh, cortisol mismanagement.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Wow. Caffeine's a whole nother thing that I think we should go into if we do another one of these
yeah, for sure.
because caffeine's interesting. But I mean, I wish I could ask you all these questions because half of them have been questions that I've wanted to ask you. And they're fantastic. So, but I feel like I have poked and prodded at you with all these questions enough.
We got a lot out. We got a lot
We
done.
did.
This was fun, and you're a great co-host.
Thanks.
Give it up, audience, for Sydney Clark. This is her first time. It's her
I know.
Genius Life podcast debut.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for trusting me to ask these questions.
Are you you're on social media, right? In case people want to
Yeah, I don't do anything impressive on social media. I'm not very active, but
she loves a sky.
I do love a sky, love a light fixture.
Loves a light fixture.
But yeah, no, thanks for having me. This was great. I do want to ask you one final question.
Okay.
That gets asked to everyone that joins you on the show.
All right. What is it?
What is it? What do you mean? What is living a genius life to you?
Oh man, flipping the script.
Oh yeah.
What does living a genius life mean to me? Man, it's so funny because we get all our guests, like we get all these great responses.
I know.
And I agree with all of them.
Yeah, even like the short ones, the long ones, they're all like equally as like mind blowing.
Yeah.
And it's okay if I put you on the spot there.
I just think like, I don't know, it'll probably change every time, but right now I'm feeling, living with integrity, like living in alignment so that, what you preach is that you're preaching like a true embodiment of that you are embodying what it is that you preach, so that's like all aligned. Being impeccable with your word is another way to put it.
Love that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people on social media and in life that love to talk the talk, but you've got to walk the walk too, and to be aligned with your values, and and just to kind of live that truth moment to moment, and in everything that you do. I mean, that I think is like the ultimate virtue to strive for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they say, one of my favorite quotes is, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And I totally believe that. Hey, if you like that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there. Some people, they go strictly with the data, right? Like scientific data. Some people are more intuitive. You know, you, I think, are like in the middle, which is where I am.
Yeah.
That's totally where I am.
I love being there because a lot of the time, the stuff that I learn online, I can't really apply it to myself. I just feel like, oh, well, we're all so different. Like I can't be that exact with what they're talking about.